as I wrap up my 4th year in that role, I find myself reflecting on the question, why WordPress? The most quotable answer to that lies in the phrase, free as in speech. But for anyone who's heard me talk about the 4 freedoms of open source, you know that I think it's a lot more than that. The 4 freedoms of open source are these, in case you have not yet heard me talk about them: the freedom to run the program for any purpose, the freedom to study how the program works and change it so that it does your computing as you wish, the freedom to redistribute copies so that you can help your neighbor, and the freedom to distribute copies of your modified versions, giving the community a chance to benefit from those changes. From a practical standpoint, what this means is that you can own a copy of the software that's easy to use, easy to study and learn from, easy to change, easy to share. But from a philosophical standpoint, as I said, this means a lot more to me. These 4 freedoms enable the removal of barriers to opportunity in the world. And by continuing to remove those barriers, we secure a free and open and interconnected web for the future. The 4 freedoms form almost a bill of rights for the web. And as with any rights, you don't need to know that they exist in order for you to benefit from them or in order for you to deserve them. And so when I ask myself, why WordPress? The best answer I have always been able to find is that we secure opportunities and freedoms long into the future for people who may not even know that those freedoms should matter to them yet.
I actually believe it's going to be bigger than WordPress itself as a contribution and adoption to the web and to mobile apps. And we have some pretty exciting things that have been going on with Gutenberg all over the world. Close to home, you will notice that the bbPress forums that power all the support in WordPress.org now have embedded Gutenberg. So we've gone from, I think it was BB code before. So if you were to post a link or an image on the forums before, you'd have to write this strange HTML-like language. Now, as you can see, it has rich embedding, images, videos, O-embeds, everything. So we've really modernized the WordPress.org support experience. And this is using a plugin, I believe called Blocks Anywhere? Blocks Everywhere. It's even better than Anywhere. Which also is going to be embedded in BuddyPress as well. So if you're using the sort of social network in a box that extends WordPress, that's going to have blocks, which is pretty exciting. We also are starting to see Gutenberg embedded in completely other applications. So as you notice, this looks a lot like the Gutenberg interface, but this is actually a Laravel-based application called Engine Awesome. And I believe we have the developers of Engine Awesome, the JavaScript version of Gutenberg in your web application, and the rest of your web application doesn't need to be also open sourced. But on mobile apps, because of how they're compiled and distributed, it was sort of kicking in. And so if you were like a proprietary app like Day One or MailChimp or something like that, and you want to embed Gutenberg, you couldn't with the way the license was. So we actually did a lot of work to go back to all the contributors and all the people who've been part of the code of this mobile Gutenberg, which is again the native implementations of it, and got a dual license. So you can use it under the GPL or I believe the MPL, the Mozilla Public License, if I'm recalling that correctly, which can be easily embedded in applications. So as we go through all the Gutenberg stuff, remember that we're not just doing this once, we're actually implementing this 3 times in 3 separate languages, which is pretty fun. And if you haven't checked out Day One, check out that. And then finally, I want to show this implementation of Gutenberg because it looks nothing like the others. So this is actually the Tumblr post form, and here I'm showing copying and pasting into the Tumblr post form. So if you look at how Tumblr has adapted Gutenberg, it's using all the fun stuff that has been in the Tumblr editor forever, but now it has all the features of Gutenberg. They're just 99% of it is hidden. As you can see, there's no sidebar, there's none of the other things, it's all in line. So this is a great example of how you can skin Gutenberg to actually get all the benefits of the hard work we've done around copy and paste, rich block editing, editing inside and outside of links. All of that is happening. I'm also excited to say that after a 6-year hiatus, the WordPress Community Summit is coming back. So this is going to be concurrent with the WordCamp US, which this year is in National Harbor, Maryland, USA, in August, sort of the end of August 22nd, 23rd. The Community Summit is basically for the top contributors of WordPress to come together. And Excited to see how that comes up again, especially since it's been so long since the last one. And many of the new contributors, some of whom we'll talk about today, have never had a chance to meet other folks in person. Also a milestone, very excited to celebrate next year, is that WordPress is turning 20 years old. Not a lot of software projects make it that long, much less are growing faster than ever at that age. Actually, one that we share a birth year with is Creative Commons, which is kind of exciting, also turning 20 next year. We're going to have a lot of exciting stuff going on with the 20th birthday of WordPress. If you'd like to follow along at wp20.wordpress.net, we're going to be having a site that'll have like special edition swag and merchandise. We're doing a new edition of the Milestones book. So Milestones is the open source book we did on the first 10 years of WordPress, 2003 to 2013. So we're doing the second 10-year update of that book. And there'll be events all over the world. So we'll have a chance to have fun. You know, at the 10-year anniversary of WordPress, people made some amazing cakes, and there was like all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm excited to see what the kind of community-generated worldwide celebration of WordPress 20 is going to be. I spoke last year about how important education is to the future of WordPress. We have a site at learn.wordpress.org, which now has open source courses, community workshops, things happening almost every week that might be sort of moderated or facilitated by a volunteer. And also the content itself is being created by people all over the world who teach WordPress. It's being translated into new language now. We had 12,000 people take one of these courses. Such an important part of getting involved with WordPress is the education. And I love meeting folks, including some like startup founders and CEOs that tell me that they learned to code from doing WordPress themes or WordPress plugins, which is it's pretty exciting. We also spoke last year about Openverse, which is kind of unusual. This was an acquisition that we did from the Creative Commons organization, but not really an acquisition, because what we did was we put it on WordPress.org. What Openverse is essentially a search engine that scours the entire web for Creative Commons licensed media. It could be photos, videos. If you're not familiar with what the Creative Commons is, it's kind of open source applied to media or content. So a license which under this image can be used for sometimes commercial use, sometimes non-commercial use, sometimes with attribution, sometimes with no attribution. It's kind of a variety of different kind of, as a creator, you can pick different licenses to put things under. One thing that we launched was audio. So now if you're doing a podcast or something like that, there's now all this amazing music and audio that creators have chosen to share with the world, much like the developers and designers of WordPress have chosen to share their work with the world under these open licenses. So far in the Openverse, we have over 22 million images, 1.1 million audio files, where it's being used millions and millions of times per month. And in the past 30 days, over 59 million requests. And it's not even fully embedded into WordPress yet. So this is actually pretty exciting in terms of how we can create these open ecosystems that kind of feed back to each other. It's not just code and CSS and everything. It's actually going to be everything that you can put on your site. If you are a photographer or a musician or anything like that and you'd like to contribute to this, we have the photo directory on WordPress.org now that you can put Creative Commons 0 or GPL licensed images on. And this is using a new theme for WordPress. Might be one of the last themes for WordPress called the Create Block theme. The Create Block theme basically gives, if you're making something brand new, like a blank canvas to start from, also with some cool features. So for example, if you're using Google Fonts, it can actually import those to be served locally from your site. So I know there's concerns in Europe and other places around like GDPR and what, using Google hosted resources for things. So this allows you to run it all from your own website, yet still have the rich typography and other things that we all want in modern web design. So it can have one theme, one pattern, but infinite permutations. These are some examples of different kind of styles applied to. In 2022, all of the things you just see were contributed by a record number of folks helping out. 1,399 were these contributors. We were so close. Hopefully one person watching this will be inspired and get us to 1,400 next year. This includes 652 first-time contributors. people who have never contributed to WordPress ever before. 424 that contributed in 21, came back in 22. And one that I'm pretty excited about, which is 322 people who took a break in 2021 and then returned in 2022. Last year, one of the things I spoke about was some of our contribution numbers, meetups, WordPresses, WordCamps, everything had collapsed, actually. And what happened was, like the pandemic, everything, we lost a lot of our methods for getting people involved. I think also people were just burnt out. What a tough couple of years we've been through, including this year. It was a little roller coaster for me personally. But now coming out the other side of it, people are starting to get involved. They're looking for community again. They're looking to learn. They're looking to everything. And being part of WordPress is certainly one of the things I always return to. If I'm ever feeling low or having a tough week, I find that the WordPress community is one of the just friendliest, most loving? Most loving? There we go. And so willing to help you out, as we were just demonstrated right there. Thank you, Michelle. We have some new core committers this year. So I want to especially recognize and celebrate Bernie Ryder, Mariusz Jensen, Adam Zielinski, and George Mamadashvili, who are the new core committers to WordPress. The core committers are basically the top editors of WordPress. These are the folks who determine anyone can contribute code, but these are like the core folks that say what goes in to the thing that gets distributed to tens of millions of websites in every release. Think of these like the Wikipedia super editors. Essentially, one of the challenges that I've heard from a lot of WordPress users around the world is this idea that because there's such a diversity of things in directory, how can you kind of tell what you're getting into when you choose a plugin or theme? So one of the new taxonomies that we're going to be introducing to the plugin and themes directory is basically going to allow the creators of that plugin or theme to self-identify for kind of what type of project they are. So what's this going to mean? In this new taxonomy, by default, you can say this is kind of a solo single-player plugin, and I'm just making it for myself. I'm releasing it for others, but it's not really meant to be anything more. There'll be a second taxonomy, which is a community plugin. A community plugin is one that says this belongs to all of us. The lead developers or whoever's working on it is really stewarding it. And if they're done, they'll pass it on to others. Is this for the next generation as well, much like WordPress itself? It's explicitly saying that there's no upsells. So this is just entirely free, often running entirely on the WP admin. So they might call external services, but also this is saying this is something that you can use and it's built by and for the community, and also inviting contributions. So a community plugin is also saying please get involved. And so especially if someone's wanting to get more involved with contributing to WordPress, but contributing to the core software might be a little intimidating, getting involved with one of these community plugins is a fun way to do it. A portion of the community plugins we're going to specify as canonical plugins. What's a canonical plugin? Basically a community plugin that the WordPress project itself is saying this is so important or so key that we're going to give our official imprint to this. Canonical plugins will be powered by our security and bug bounty program. They will get attention from core developers, and we're saying this is almost blessed. This is one that's really, so as an example of a canonical plugin, think of Gutenberg itself, which is available as a plugin as well. If you want to get the latest and greatest features that haven't launched, some of the stuff I showed today, you can install the Gutenberg plugin. Think of the importers for WordPress, both the WordPress importer, but also importers from other systems. Those will be canonical plugins. So basically saying, you can install this and you are super duper sure it is 100% solid, secure, and supported by the core WordPress. And then finally, we want to recognize as well that there's a ton of commercial plugins. And so that's going to be something that people can tag. Often a commercial plugin will be accepting of outside contributions, but there's often a company behind it. They often have commercial support and some sort of upsell. We've probably all experienced a theme or plugin that you can use for free, but then there's some pro version. So all of those will be tagged commercial. And so if you're choosing something, browsing the directory or going in, you'll now be able to tell what you're getting into. And the beautiful thing about WordPress is we love all of them. Not one is better than the other. They're just different. And we want to create a space where there could be commercial, non-commercial, community, everything mixed together. So this is launching this month on the WordPress.org plugin directory. So look for this, and then we're going to build it into the sort of built-in WP admin browsers as well. So check that out. So here
This
is
WordPress website is not loaded from a server. WordPress, PHP, and a database are all running in the web browser. It's called WordPress Playground, and you can customize it. Let's click on the Settings button and select the Pendant theme, the Cobblx plugin, and the Gutenberg plugin. Starting a new playground only takes a couple of seconds, and I'm even already logged in as an admin. Now let's create a new page using the alert block from Cobblx. Let's give it a title and some content, and I'd like to be sure that this looks right when published, so let's preview it in a new browser tab. That looks perfect. Let's publish it. Note that this website is temporary and gets erased as soon as I close my browser tab. And everything you see here is available for testing right now. And here's what WordPress Playground may enable in the future. Imagine a guided interactive WordPress learning experience where you get to edit code live and see the results right away. Imagine trying WordPress plugins right in the plugin directory and even interacting with them right then and there. Finally, imagine being able to try WordPress and even contribute to it within seconds from visiting WordPress.org. Isn't the future exciting? You can be a part of it. Learn more at developer.wordpress.org/playground, join the conversation on the Meta Playground Slack channel, and get involved in the project.